Welcome to the Wemi Show. We have an amazing show in store for you. This is actually a super special episode. I'm going to be answering all of your questions, all of your burning questions that you sent in. I know that I asked a lot of you and you've sent this to me in DMs and messages and emails. And fortunately, I can't get to all of them because, stuff's happening. Life's lifing. The rest of it. So I'm taking some time to answer your burning questions about life, about business, career, and I cannot wait. I have my laptop here. I'm going to go through the questions and I'm going to answer as many of them as I possibly can. First question that we have, this is a good one actually to kick things off. It says, how do you find your tribe? I seem to be missing that in this life. This is a great question because when I moved to LA almost 20 years ago, I too was looking for my tribe. And as human beings, spiritual beings having a human experience, I think we are wired to want to have and build and find that tribe. And it can be very difficult when we feel like a part of us is missing. So here's what I'm going to say. You have to shift your perspective from I'm missing something. I'm missing this tribe, and this tribe or this group of people is going to add something to my life that I don't already have. First of all, you are already complete. You cannot complete something that is already complete. That being said, there are people who can come into your life who can add value. There are people who challenge you. There are people who bring certain qualities into your life that make your life richer. So that's what we're going to say in terms of looking for and trying to find a tribe. What I would say what really shifted for me in LA, because I ended up with different groups of people. Some were great experiences. Some were not great experiences. We're not going to go into that right now. But what really helped me was stopping this idea of looking for people to complete me and instead focusing on the things that I value, activities that I value, my passions, the things that actually excite me. And then in looking for those things, in putting myself in spaces where I felt that I could add value and that these activities could also bring something into my life, I ended up attracting people who were great, who did come into my life. And here's another thing that I will warn you against. Do not hold on so tightly to the people when they come in. People come into your life for a reason and a season. People who are supposed to be in your life for 3 months, let them be there for 3 months. Don't hold on to them. Don't think they have to be there for years to come. We have a saying in my culture, in the Yoruba culture in Nigeria, 20 kids do not play together for 20 years. But there are kids, if you put a bunch of kids in a room, some will scoot this way, some will scoot that way. You cannot hold on to all of them. So don't hold on so tightly when you are meeting people. There are people that you'll meet, you'll have a great conversation with them. It's only meant to be a great conversation. Leave it at that, let go, release, and then allow other things and other people to come in. So stop searching for people to come in to complete you. Open up yourself to experiences that you value, where you can feel like you bring value into something, and then allow those people to be drawn to you. I hope that helps. Next question. This one says, I haven't been able to find a job that values me. How can I find a good job that I love? I'm going to challenge you again to a perception shift here as well. I think that we are often quite confused, especially American culture. I think we are often confused as to what our jobs are supposed to do for us and what our jobs are supposed to give us. So if you are in an environment where you do not feel valued, I would say the first thing is reevaluate that environment. If you're in an environment where you are sick to your stomach when you're going to work every day, where you just feel like you are underappreciated, where you feel like you are not shown any kind of appreciation, maybe it's time to explore if you've given feedback. If you're in an environment where you can give feedback, then give feedback. If you're in an environment where feedback is just not something that is a normal way of communicating, then maybe start exploring other places. But your job is not meant to complete you either. Your job is just a job, right? We are not what we do. What we do can be an extension of who we are, but we are so much more than what we do. So if you do not feel valued, I would say challenge yourself to say, is there anything that I can do right now in this environment to change things? Are there conversations that I can have about my value not being seen? Because sometimes we do have to educate people on how to treat us. So if you're doing the education and you feel like they're not being receptive, then it might be time to look for other opportunities as well. But please remember this again, your job does not complete you. It is not meant to fulfill you. And there are quite a few questions around this there. We'll get to some of them. I have another one here. It says, I'm in a transitional space and I'm afraid I'm not enough. How do I trust the steps placed before me. Oof, that's a deep one. Transitional spaces, very normal part of this human experience. Again, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Nature goes through transitional spaces all the time. We all go through it. I've used this example in a lot of my videos that there's a time to plant, there's a time to nurture, and there's a time to harvest. And during your time of harvesting, you're not going to be nurturing, you're not going to be planting. And during that time of planting, you're going to have to leave room for your seed to take root. So transitional spaces are very real. And you have to trust in the fact that nature is doing exactly what it needs to do, that life is doing exactly what it needs to do in your life, in this transitional space. First of all, you are enough. You may not believe it. You may not see it. You may not feel it, but you are always going to be enough. It's the same thing that I said earlier. How can you complete something that's already complete? If I look at the sun, it was raining here today in LA. The sun still exists, even though it was raining. The sun exists, even though it's cloudy. The sun exists whether I wake up every morning and I acknowledge the sun. I don't have to wake up every morning and say, "Hey, sun, I see you." There you are. You're so bold and big and beautiful. The sun does not care. If I acknowledge it or not, we complain all the time. It's too hot. It's too cold. The sun is the sun, in spite of our trivial opinions. So you are complete and you are enough, whether you see it or not. There's air right now around me. Whether I see it, whether I feel it, I trust that it's there. You have to trust in that. The other part of your question is, how do you trust the steps that are placed before you? Every single thing in your life is working together perfectly for your good. I put my paycheck on it and I pay myself because I work for myself. But listen, everything is working together perfectly for your good. Life is working for your good. You have to trust in that. You get out every morning and you trust that you're not going to get hit by a car. You get up every morning, and when you have to go to the doctor, well, not every morning, hopefully you're not going to the doctor every morning, but if you go to a doctor and you're not feeling well, you are trusting, you're putting yourself, your body, your life in someone else's hands, trusting that they're going to do what's best for you. You put your trust in so many things. You go to Chipotle and you put your trust in that burrito and you feel like it's going to be okay, right? You go to a salad place and you put your trust that the salad is going to be fine. We put our trust in so many things, little, big. Why can't you trust that life is also working on your behalf? What I'm going to challenge you on is this. A lot of times we want to see everything that's going to happen. We want all of the steps already revealed to us. We want to know all of the answers to the test before we even start taking the test. I have coaching clients that come to me all the time. They're like, "Just give me the answers, Wemi." I'm like, it does not work that way. That's not how your journey works. So I'm going to say this. When you're driving, for example, you can see a little bit of what's in front of you. You're not going to be able to see everything that's in front of you. You have tunnel vision, a little bit of what's in front of you, a little bit of what's behind you. Life has aerial vision. It can see, it's like a helicopter. It sees everything behind you, and your intuition, your internal GPS is guiding you every step of the way. So you have to trust that intuition will step in for you when you need to, tell you when you need to turn left, when you need to turn right, when you need to make a U-turn, make a different decision. If you can put your trust in burritos and salads and so many other things out there, you can put your trust in life as well. One step after the other, one step after the other. Life is not about giving you all of the answers. Otherwise, it would be called the end, not the journey. Okay? All right. Let's do another one. This person says, how do I overcome my issues with my appearance so they don't affect my business? I don't feel beautiful. Love you. Well, love you too. And I'm sorry that you don't feel this way. I know that there's a lot in our society that these standards of beauty, you should look this way, you should feel this way. And there's so many people, young people, middle-aged people, older people who are suffering from the same thing. They don't feel beautiful. I'm going to go back to the analogy of the sun, that you are actually beautiful in spite of what you see, in spite of what you think you see, in spite of what, the reflections are out there. You have to redefine what beautiful means and looks like for you, because what is probably happening here is that you are going by the definition of what other people have called beautiful. So I start off from a place of gratitude, right? I don't look for what I don't have. Instead, I reach and I say thank you for what is already mine. So when I wake up in the morning, obviously I got makeup on right now and a pretty dress. I did not wake up like this, but I did wake up feeling good about myself because I woke up and I said, I am breathing. I am alive. I am well. And where there's life, there's hope. That I find beautiful. That I can then channel into saying, okay, I'm going to put on some makeup. I'm going to do some things that inspire me to define what I feel is actually beautiful. So what I would challenge you on is to say, instead of focusing on you not feeling a way that other people around you are saying that you should feel, can you pause and be grateful for who you are, for what you have, for what is actually available? And then if you want to put on a pretty dress, if you want to do things that do make you feel even more grateful for that, then you can do that. I am not somebody that stays in the mirror. I'm going to be honest. I share this with my producer, Michelle, who's behind here. I don't stand in front of the mirror and look at myself all day long. It's just not something that it's not too much happens when we're doing that. So what I do is when I'm putting on makeup, that's when I look in the mirror. When I'm putting on clothes, that's when I look in the mirror. If I don't have to look in the mirror, I don't do it because there's a lot more important things that are going on as well. So I will say this, and I say that obviously with some privilege, that I can sit here and put on makeup and put on a dress. But if you can focus, if you can put and shift your focus on something else like gratitude, I think it will move you from what other people think to who you are. And tying that into your business, focus less on what looks beautiful and how that should show up, and show up as your best self. So what does your best self actually look like? If you can figure that out and then think, what value can I bring people in this business? It means you're shifting your focus from the superficial to actually leaving a lasting impact. I hope that helps. All right. This person says, how can I live a more meaningful life when I can't seem to find my passions? I was watching something not that long ago, and it was talking about purpose and passion and how the Western culture and world has completely just overused these words. So it's like, I want to find my purpose. I want to find my purpose. What are my passions? What are my passions? And what I will say is that passion does not actually mean that you're going to have a meaningful life. I think you have to define what a meaningful life entails for you first, right? And then in terms of passions, I say take action first, and then passion will follow. A lot of times we're convinced that we need to find this thing that we're passionate about first. But what does that actually mean? We're here to do, we're here to create, we're here to discover. That's the journey. That's the experience. If you take inspired action, if you try out different things, this life is an amusement park, people. I tell my clients this all the time. You're at an amusement park. You can decide to ride the teacup. You can decide to ride a roller coaster. You can decide that you want to just eat turkey legs all day. You can decide that you just want to have funnel cakes. You don't want to get on any of the rides. But that is the experience of this amusement park. How will you know if you don't try it? Now, I've never tried a turkey leg at the amusement park, but I'm not opposed to it. How will you know if you are passionate about a turkey leg if you don't try it? How will you know if you would prefer the teacup versus the roller coaster if you don't try it? How will you know if there's passion in it if you don't take inspired action? So once again, another challenge here, perception shift. Focus more on taking inspired action versus trying to put this big label on passions first. Take inspired action and the passion will follow. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? We have, what should I do? I've asked myself what my values or my talents are so I can build or capitalize off of it, but I don't know. So I'm going to challenge you on the words capitalize, because I think you might be looking at it in a way that makes you feel limited. No one can tell you what to do, but you can try out different things. You can explore. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. You are here to explore. Again, amusement park. Get on the rides. Try different things. Now, you may discover something about yourself, because I do very much believe that we are an answer. We're all an answer for something or someone out there. So who are you an answer for? Try out different things and then see how that connects with other people. And then instead of saying, let me capitalize on it, you're saying, how am I bringing or adding value to someone else's life? Try things, and then you will figure out what actually makes sense and aligns with you. Okay, so this next one says, how do I support my daughter who has had her first graduate internships application rejected? I would say that I'm sorry to hear that, but I think just And I'm not trying to make failure pretty. It's just a very simple part of life. We fail all the time. It ain't pretty. It's messy as hell. So let's just acknowledge that. That being said, I do also believe that a lot of times a no is not just a no. Maybe it's a not this. Maybe it's a not right now. And a lot of times, no, it's that rejection is redirection. For your daughter, what you want for her is the path that aligns perfectly with her journey. You don't want anything that is not for her. And what is yours is yours. You don't want anything that's not for her. All of those internship applications, they're not for her. Because if they were for her, she would have them. So it's not necessarily rejection. It's just taking away some of the pieces that don't belong in her journey. And then she gets to decide and discover what works for her. Sometimes we have to discover what doesn't work in order to discover what actually works. So I'm not going to say that I'm sorry that she got rejected, because I believe that the right opportunity that aligns with her future. You don't want anything that doesn't align with her future. We've heard stories before, someone saying, oh my God, thank God I didn't take that road that morning. There would have been a horrible accident. Or thank God this didn't happen. This could have gone horribly wrong. You don't want what's not for her. Set an intention with your daughter and just say, we are trusting in life. Rumi is the poet that says, what you seek seeks you too. What she seeks, the right internship for her, is also looking for her. Set that intention that you're aligning together, that the right opportunity is showing up and coming up for her, okay? Okay, this person says, my husband is a good man, but I am not satisfied in my marriage. Is it wrong to leave? Let me take some water on that one. Okay. There's no right or wrong because it's your journey. I can't say to you, leave your husband, this is the right thing to do, or don't leave your husband, it's the wrong thing to do, because I'm not living your life. It is your journey. So I think what you want to ask yourself, reframe that question. What aligns with your soul and your spirit? Thinking about this journey that you've taken, thinking about, or that you are taking, thinking about what part and role your husband plays in that. Is there alignment? What is missing? The questions that I would also ask is, have you talked to your husband? Have you expressed how you feel? If you talk about satisfaction, what does that mean? Because satisfaction varies every single day. You have to ask yourself every single day how you're showing up, how your husband is showing up as well. And then those moments, the little surveys that we take every single day in our relationships and with the people that we love and at work, they add up, they accumulate. So there's no right or wrong here. The question is, what aligns with your soul and your spirit? And what are you not getting from the relationship? And then have you communicated it? And you may decide at the end of the day that it's not worth it, that you are open to having a different experience, walking this path with someone else. And in that case, it's not right or wrong. It's just the right decision for you. Okay? All right. Someone said, I got burnt out by corporate life twice. I want to change and make money, but I feel limited in option. I'm going to challenge your belief on that. There are actually a million possibilities out there. Why do you feel limited? I said this before when I moved to Europe for a few months, I think it was last year. And even before that time, every single time I'm in Paris, there is literally 1,000,001 bakeries and pharmacies. Every corner that you turn on the same block, everyone is out there saying, hey, buy my baguette, buy my croissant. And they get what they need and then they walk out. So there are a million possibilities out there. It's great that you have recognized that you are burnt out from the corporate experience. That means you can open up yourself to trying out new opportunities and trying out other things. And the sky is big enough for all of us to fly, by the way. There are 1,000,001 opportunities that are available out there. You are not stuck in one. And if you try something and it doesn't work, you can try something else as well. Don't get stuck in that mindset. If you start to tell yourself that you are limited in option, then you are going to be limited in option, because we are all on a frequency. If you are tuned into a frequency of lack, if you are tuned into a frequency of not having enough or not being enough, that's what life is going to give you. If you're tuned into a jazz station, you're going to hear jazz. Okay. So I just want you to think about this. Change your perspective from, oh, I'm limited in option to there are millions of possibilities and options out there. I'm ready for something new. I'm ready to be connected. It literally just happened today, by the way, when we were filming the show. I put out there in terms of what's next. I want to meet someone who's going to help me with X, Y, and Z. And I just put it out there last week. And then today I met someone who's like, I do X, Y, and Z. Well, hello, I'm tuned into the frequency. So there are going to be millions of opportunities and possibilities out there for you. You're burnt out. You're ready for something new. Embrace that there are those opportunities out there for you. Okay. All right. Well, this one I wasn't sure if I was going to answer, but I'm going to answer it because I think it's important for this person to hear. They said, will my desire to become a professional singer come to fruition? Whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, either way, you are right. That's the quote. I can't tell you that you're going to make it. I'm not a fortune teller, although I am a dreamer and I usually dream of the past, present, and future. So I do have that gift, but I can't see the mirror ball right now. I can't tell you that. What I can say to you is this. Your life is about experiences. Your spiritual being having a human experience. You are here to experience. No one can tell you. And what does it mean to be a professional, whatever XYZ that you're saying? Ask yourself this question. Is it that I'm a professional when I make money? Am I a singer when someone actually pays me to sing? Or am I a singer because I sing? I self-published my first book. I became a writer because I wrote. I didn't wait to get a publishing deal. I wrote and then I published. I was a writer because I wrote. You're a singer, a professional singer because you are doing exactly that. So if you're taking inspired action, it should match. It should be able to propel you and move you forward. Another thing I'm going to challenge you on is redefine what success means for you. Not what people are saying a professional singer should be. What does that actually mean for you? I don't know the future, but I can say this to you. If it is your passion, and if it is something that brings joy into your life and you are taking action on it, then you are already that. This other person says, how does one create a soul-aligned business? What stops a person from having clarity? Nothing stops you from having clarity. I mentioned earlier that I believe that we are all an answer for something and someone out there. So my question to you is this: who are you an answer for? If you can answer that question, you're going to gain more clarity. Shift your perspective. It's not about, oh, I don't have clarity on this. I don't have clarity on that. And what does a soul-aligned business mean? It just means it's something that you feel connected to. So ask yourself that question: who am I an answer for? Where can I add value? With all the videos that I put on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, every single time I put it out, I say, let this go out and find the person that it's meant to find. That's my contribution to this world. So what is your contribution? And when you do that, you'll find that the people who need you will find you. The messages that I put out, they find exactly who they need to find. Okay? Let's see. Someone said, how can I develop storytelling abilities like yours? I feel so involved watching you. Love you too. I will say this. I grew up in a culture that's all about storytelling. I was born in Nigeria. The Yoruba culture is the culture that I grew up in. I didn't set out with some sinister plan to tell stories. It just came. I basically just stepped into what came and felt naturally to me. In my culture, I grew up hearing my grandmother tell folk tales, my mom tell stories. That's how I grew up. When I started sharing inspirational and motivational messages, it just made sense for me to start off with telling stories. That's what came naturally to me. So I would say to you, what comes naturally to you? Everyone is different. Everyone has a different journey. Everyone shows up differently. Sky is big enough for all of us to fly. There is something with you. There's something in how you show up that comes naturally to you. Lean into that. You don't have to be like anyone else out there. Remember when Oprah used to say that she wanted to be Barbara Walters, and see how well that worked out for her by just being herself? Find out what works for you and what comes naturally to you, and you will have to work on it. Everything that I'm doing now, I've been doing for many, many years. From the first time I was on Tumblr, and yes, y'all, I was on Tumblr. You do not want to see my old YouTube videos either, but we've come a long way. So we'll have to work on it. It takes work and it takes effort, but find what comes naturally and put the work into it. Next question we have: at 45, I feel truly directionless. I can't find a job. I've been looking for a year. What can I do to keep the faith? Whether you're 45 or you're 22 or you're just coming out of college, it can feel incredibly frustrating when you feel like you have been planting seeds, you've been putting stuff out there, and it's just not showing up. Here's the thing. First of all, life is all about seasons. If you're in planting season, you got to stick with that. You got to put in the work. If you're in nurturing season, you're doing that too. Farmers understand this because nature works in a very specific way. And then when you get to harvesting season, you're harvesting the things that you have already planted. So ask yourself, what season am I in? Just because you feel directionless does not actually mean that you lack direction. Ask yourself what season you're in. What have you been planting? Does it just need more time? Do you need to shift? Do you need to change? Do you need to pivot? I would ask yourself that. The other thing is, when you are in quicksand, it is very, very easy for you to just feel like you are continuously sinking. Anything that you grab onto just keeps sinking you some more. So a perspective shift time, there's a lot of that going on right now with these questions. Instead of feeling directionless, I would shift your perspective from what do I not have or what don't I have to what do I actually have. The way to do that is gratitude. You can't go from feeling really crappy to feeling really great all at once. You can, however, go from feeling really crappy to this is not so bad. And then from this is not so bad to here, I actually have some things that I'm grateful for. And then from this is what I have to, and more of that to, well, I can actually take inspired action. Ding, ding, ding. Now we get to this side, right? So perspective shift, that's how you keep the faith. And then think about what season you're in. Do not give up when you are close to getting what you want. If you need to shift or pivot, you will do that. Life is also incredible at course correcting. So life is working on your behalf and in co-creation with you. You're not doing this alone. I'm sending you so much love. Someone said, advice for not feeling confident in making decisions, analysis paralysis, and a fear of failure. If I tell you how many times that I've heard this from my coaching clients, it happens to all of us. Simple. The only way through is inspired action, because you're not going to know until you take action. Take any action. There's no talk, no pep talk that I can give you to say, you can do it. Just get on with it. If you just take action, action will lead to more action. If that action leads to a dead end, you pivot and you change. I shared this before and a lot of you resonated with it. I shared that a river flows forward, always. There are obstacles in the river. There are branches, there are trees, there are things that human beings come and dump in the river. But a river flows forward, always. In spite of the obstacles, a river will either go under, above, around, or through, permeate through the obstacle. That's what it does. That's nature. We're not separate from nature. It's the same thing with us. You have to go through if need be. So take action, right? I know that it's difficult, but even if you can take a tiny bit of action, if you're like, I want to start this business, I don't know where to begin, I feel paralyzed by the decision, try to just do some research on coming up with a name. That's a tiny bit of action. And then from the name, you build out from there. Ask yourself, who am I an answer for? Answer that one question. When I was writing my book, sometimes one line was enough. Sometimes a chapter was enough, but it was inspired action. Take the action one step at a time. Don't get overwhelmed by the big steps. Take the little steps and they will accumulate, okay? Someone says, how do you stay so positive? That's a good one. Well, listen, I try to be positive. It is work. I don't know if it comes naturally. I mean, I think I grew up in an environment where it was definitely encouraged, but a lot of things happen. Life happens. We have to learn how to coexist with challenges in life. That is how it works. You cannot escape the reality of yin and yang, of what we define as good or bad. So I am in radical acceptance that challenges are a very normal part. They're woven into the thread of my reality, of the reality of the world. In spite of that, I'm going to wake up. I don't plan to be positive for an entire year. I just take it moment by moment. I'm going to choose how I respond in this moment. I cannot control what life throws at me. I can, however, control how I respond to it. Positivity is a choice. It doesn't mean that I'm able to sustain it all the time. I am not a robot. If you can choose from moment to moment, I'm going to choose to be present. I'm going to choose to see the good in this. I'm going to choose gratitude. Even when it doesn't feel like it, you still have a choice. You always have a choice. So positivity is also a choice. All right, last question. How do you learn to show up for yourself? I'm great at showing up for others, but not for myself. Yes, this is a good one. It is very difficult to choose yourself because we have been taught that choosing yourself is selfish. Now, that being said, yes, there are people who choose themselves all the time in a very selfish way. But I do not think that self-care is selfish. I don't think that choosing yourself is selfish. I think context is key here. What does it mean if you're like, oh, my baby's crying, I choose myself? No, you're a mother. You are responsible for that child. That is your responsibility. Or you have to show up, this client who has already paid you to show up, and you're like, yeah, I choose myself here. I'm not going to go. It doesn't work like that. Choosing yourself means that you are setting the right boundaries for you. And I know that it's difficult, but this is also something where we have to demystify and we have to redefine what choosing yourself means. So it's not selfish. It's an act of setting boundaries. It's an act of weighing the things that work for you and how they work for you. It is, for example, you saying you're working at a 9 to 5 and you know that you're miserable and you know that you want to start a business. Choosing yourself means that even at the end of that 9 to 5, that you are creating and dedicating time to work on that business, to build something for yourself. Choosing yourself does mean creating space and making space for the things that matter to you, for the things that you value. It's step by step. It's a little bit. Choosing to write a book that you've always thought about. Choosing not to go to an event that you do not want to go to because you know that you're going to be triggered by all these family members. So recognizing that and setting the boundary to say, this is not worth my peace of mind. I choose my peace of mind. In those little steps, saying no. Maybe you pick up the phone, all the time when someone calls you that you're not necessarily happy with, or maybe you spend an hour on the phone with someone that choosing yourself. So thank you all so much for the questions that you sent in. I loved going through these. Continue to send them in. Now, I do want to say that everything that has been expressed here, their opinions, they're only for informational and educational purposes. I am not a doctor. I am not diagnosing you. So if you need help, please seek help with a healthcare professional. And I'm sending you so much love. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share this. Don't forget to send it to all of your friends and all of your family. And don't forget to follow wherever you're watching this. I appreciate you. I love you. I will see you soon.